What's going on, guys? Phil here for Philscraftcorner. We're in the workshop again. Miracle, I know. And I'm back doing scrollsaw work, so double miracle. Today I'm making these. These are fillable boxes. This one's not fully assembled. It's in pieces because it's being sent out to somebody that's going to paint it. But I'm going to take you through the process of how I make these. I'll throw up some finished pictures here of what they'll look like at the end with some names and bits and pieces like that. I'll do several designs of these, but these are some of the most popular ones. I'll talk you through the process of how I make these on the scroll saw. I'm making a batch of these, so I'm doing a fairly large sheet and gluing them all together and then cutting it down because that gives me the most amount of material. If you're only doing one or two, you can just cut a piece roughly the size that you need, and it's quite simple to make. To create these designs, I start with just a generic shape. This one is a controller, and then I turn it into this design. What I do is I take the controller, I put it into my laser cutting software, Lightburn. I then put an offset of 10mm on the shape, and that gives me my outline. And then all I need to do then is put a couple of slots in the top here, just for being able to drop things in. And the way it's stacked up and the way I cut it, you end up with 4 pieces. You end up with a back piece, the center piece, which has the slot cut out at the top, a piece of acrylic to stop things falling out from the front, and a face frame. When they're all stacked up, this is what it looks like. You have the slot at the top to be able to drop things in, and the acrylic to stop things coming out the front. Obviously, once you peel off the protective layer, it's perfectly clear and like a piece of glass. So let's get into it. I'll show you how this is made, how I stack this all together, the method I use for attaching these pieces while it's cutting, just so it's nice and easy to cut and nothing slips and it's nice and easy to take apart and clean up. All in all, it takes about 15 to 20 minutes to make one of these, and it's just falling apart in my hands because I've not taped it together. If you do watch these videos quite often and you do like my content, then please give it a good thumbs up. It just helps my channel grow, it shows more people, and it makes me feel good. And if you've been watching for a little while and you've not already done so, please consider subscribing because it really does make me happy. With that being said, let's get into this project and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so I've got everything that I need set up here. I've got my 2mm perspex, I've got my 25mm MDF, and I've got 2 sheets of 6mm MDF on that side. I normally use 4mm, but I've run out this time, so I'm just using what I've got in the workshop spare, which is some 6mm. Need to pick up some more 4mm, which would be much better for this and easier to cut out. To attach all these together, I'm just going to use the masking tape and super glue method, which is you put some of the masking tape and you put strips across, and then you super glue the bits of masking tape together. Kind of works like double-sided tape, but it's much easier to take apart and leaves a better finish on top of the MDF. Double-sided tape works really well, but you have to have a lot of cleanup and that takes a lot more time, and we're all about saving some time, so we'll use masking tape and super glue. As always, the super glue that I'm going to use will be Mitre Bond because I just have this around all the time and I use it for pretty much all of my projects. So let's get all these stacked together. I'll show you the way I stack them together, transfer the patterns on here, then we'll cut them down to more manageable sizes to get onto the scroll saw. Don't suggest using the activator, that way you can slide them around and line them up a lot better. While I'm taping the other side of this one, this glue is going to set, and it only takes about 5 minutes anyway, tops. Okay, so this is the stack. I've got a 6mm MDF, I've got the 2mm perspex, I've got another 6mm MDF, and then a 25mm MDF. I didn't bother putting masking tape onto the perspex because you get a protective layer on the front and back anyway, and the glue can just stick to that and be peeled off at any point. And then these are designs that I've managed to fit on here. These controllers are probably the most popular that I did last year, so I'm doing some extra this year, and I was asked to do a horse. So out of this set so far already, 3 of the controllers, 1 of the horse, and the snitch design they're already sold, so I've got a horse and a controller left, and they will probably sell over the time as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some spray glue down over the masking tape that I've put on here, then I'm going to attach these designs to that, and might be able to head over to the bandsaw and trim these down to a more manageable size, and then we're going to get over to the scroll saw and get cutting. Okay, so the bandsaw did not want to cut the width of this, it just isn't big enough, but it did cut through the bottom. So I managed to get down here cut pretty well with the bandsaw, and the rest I did on the scroll saw. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to cut one of these controllers out, because there's no point in letting you sit through watching me do all of them, because it does take a little while on the scroll saw. I'm going to cut the outline of this one, and then I'm going to take the bottom MDF and perspex off, because that's all I need for those ones. I need the backer and I need the front perspex. Then the next cut is going to be a hole drilled probably around here in the corner with a fairly small drill bit, because I do want to keep the inside for other things. They can be reused rather than just throwing it in the scrap bin. And then I'm going to cut the inside out so that I have the face frame out of the other 6mm MDF, and then I'm going to cut this little slot out from the 25mm. So let's get it all started. I'll throw on some music, I'll time lapse the whole thing because it does take a little while. I'll post at the end how long it did actually take me, and hopefully the camera stays on too, so I'll have a check about halfway through and we'll see. So once this is all cut out, just have a quick look around the edges and have a look. I don't know if you can see this that well. This was where the bandsaw cut came in, and it was very close to the edge, and that's the difference between a bandsaw and a scroll saw blade cut. Very rough on the bandsaw and very smooth on the scroll saw. There's very little finishing that you need to do. So just go around any little bits and pieces that aren't perfect. Just grab a sanding block with 120 grit sandpaper. Just give it a quick go over. It's much easier to do at this point while it's all still attached together than when it's not attached. And there we go, that's much smoother. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take these back 2 layers off, so the back 6mm MDF and the perspex. Right there. This comes apart so easy because the perspex doesn't like sticking to this glue. So you see how shiny and smooth that is. But it keeps the protective layer on here, just keeps it perfectly aligned. So again, you can just pull these ones apart like so. The masking tape came off there that time, but again, easy just to peel the masking tape off the protective layer. Now just double check that these fit roughly the same area. Actually, that needs to go that way. It does need to go that way. It's actually pretty much perfect. It's a tiny little bit bigger in some areas. That will be perfectly fine. Once it's all together, it'll be perfect. Sweet. So we'll just put we'll just put these two to one side, and then we'll drill a small hole in this top corner here, and we'll cut this inside shape out. I'm not worried about these parts at the moment. I cut them out on my laser separately, and I cut a name to go in the center there as well, so they don't need to cut today. You can cut them out if you want out of some of the 6mm, but I don't do that. I just cut it out on the laser. So there we go, that's the tiny hole drilled. I went a little tiny bit too far with my micro chuck because I wanted the tiniest drill bit that I could, and I caught it with the jaws of the chuck, so I've just redrawn that line. It's actually how big the hole is. It's tiny, it's 1.5mm, because like I say, I want to keep this center part of both of them. I can just fill in that tiny little hole with a bit of filler, and then we can paint over it and use it as like a door plaque or anything like that. So not very much waste from these. So let's get this inside one cut out, and then we'll cut this little slot as well, and we're near enough done. There we go, like I say, we want to try and keep these bits, because obviously there's two parts here. And they'll be perfect for door plaques, or you know, you can put somebody's name on there and it can sit on the desk. Just little bits and pieces like that. Crafters could still use these, still brilliant bits and pieces, and it saves on scrap material. So now we're separating these two pieces gently, because now it's a really thin piece and you don't want to break it at this point. You'll be very upset with yourself. So this is the face frame now, so that's going to one side. We don't need that anymore. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take any masking tape off here so it's not sticking to the bed of the scroll saw. There we go. And now we're just cutting this little slot here, just here and here, and that's the final cut. There we go, that's the final cut. So I'll take all the masking tape off these bits and pieces, and then we'll get it all assembled. Just going to give everything a little light sand, just for any kind of tear out. Just using some old 120 grit sandpaper from my orbital sander. The back of this no longer grips, but the front of it's still okay. It's perfect for things like this, because you can just get in and get all them edges that might be slightly raised. And any, like the entry hole just here, I don't know if you can see that well, there's a little tiny lip there where I drilled the hole and started and finished. So a little sanding in there, that's gone. This we don't need to do anything with. Okay, that's all sanded down. It's nice and easy to assemble. All you need to do is you've got your base, then you've got your next layer, which is the inside. I'm not actually gluing these together because this is actually going to a customer who's going to paint it, so I'm going to leave it separated, but this is how you would glue it together, just a bead of glue around there, put it all together. Next layer is your acrylic. Then goes perfectly on there, and then your face frame, which sits just like that. Right guys, that is it. That's how I make these fillable boxes. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you try it yourself, because they are quite fun. It does take a little while to cut out. Once you get the first two layers cut, and then you're on to only 2 layers of MDF, it's such a breeze. It makes so, it's like having a brand new saw with a brand new blade, and it cuts so much quicker. If you do try this out, please let me know down below what kind of shapes you've cut out and what designs you've come up with, because I am really interested in how my community grows and how they learn and what projects they do themselves. It's brilliant, and it's pretty much the whole reason I made this channel, which was to show you what I do, hopefully teach you a couple of things, and you can then go and create your own things. If you like these scroll saw projects, then please let me know down below what kind of projects you'd like me to do, any information you want from a scroll saw, then let me know. I've been doing this for 7 years, so I've picked up a few tips over the years and made a lot of mistakes myself, which hopefully I'll help you avoid. As always, if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up, because it does make me super happy to see how many people like the projects that I am making. And I'll see you in the next video. I've got no idea what it's going to be at the moment. It might be a laser video, probably will be a laser video. It's been a little while since I've done one, and yeah, I'll see you in that video. Cheers!